So sometimes when you record a sample, you don't record it exactly when you would like to have. You don't record it exactly at the start time. If I went to this sample area and put on 3 seconds and I hit record, I might start singing or something while it's already been recording for a bit. If I do that, there's going to be a gap. That way, after I hit preview and get it all ready, load it up, I get some file here, Tim sample, and then when I hit it, now, yeah, it took a little while before it started doing it. If I put it even lower, say I put it an octave down, well, as we learned before, it's going to play back through all those samples, through those 44,100 samples. It's going to play back through all those samples, but slower now. What that means is it's going to take a longer time, and that beginning space is going to be even more pronounced. It's going to take a long time before the sound actually starts. If we go into a sample mode, where the file is, we can do something else. We can edit the file. If I go over here, down to the left corner, I see this edit button. Hit edit while you're in the sample mode. It's going to do different things depending on what mode you're in, so make sure you're in the sample mode. Okay, hit edit. Now look at the screen. It has all kinds of new stuff. It says edit RAM sample, trim, zoom 1 divided by 256. That may not mean much to us. And then if we look to the right corner, we see something here. That's the beginning of our actual audio file. What we're in the correct spot, what we want to do originally is we want to trim the file. We want to trim off the beginning of the file so we don't have it starting with all this space here between the blinking cursor and the beginning of our waveform. These arrow buttons and plus buttons and so on, we hit them and it's going to move it on over. Look at this where it says S. That stands for start. That's the start of your file. Next thing we're going to ignore here, it's A, starts for alternative start. Next thing is L. That stands for loop. And E stands for end. Notice that the L for loop and the E at the end are the same. If they're the same, then it's not going to loop at all. Okay? So if the loop starts at the very, very end of your file, then that means as soon as it gets to end, it'll loop. Where is it going to loop? From the end, so it goes nowhere. We have S-A-L-E, sail. Start, alternative start, loop, and end. What we're mainly concerned with at the moment is start and end. We want to make sure that the file starts at the start point, not at the space before like we have here now, and that it ends the end point. These buttons here, these arrow buttons, if I hit them, they'll move back and forth between the different positions. Here's the end point. That looks pretty good. It's near the WAV file. And hit it again, and we're back to the start. Okay, the start though we need to change. So how do we do that? You can hit these buttons, plus minus buttons, and look what happens. It moves the cursor over. It's taking quite a long time to do that though. So there's other ways you can do it. Notice when I'm pushing this plus button, it's going really, really slow by millisecond increments to the right. At this rate, it'll take another 2 minutes or so to get there. So what do? I just type in a number. I say, well, I just move it 234 milliseconds, 0.24. It looks like it's got to go that distance by maybe 3 times more. So I'll start it at maybe 0.8 and see what that does. So I go over to the keypad and type 800 milliseconds. Why? Because 800 milliseconds equals 8/10 or 0.8 of a second. So hit it, 800, enter, and now look, it's moved my cursor much further. Okay, that was a decent guess. It's probably 0.82 or something. So I'll go back over here and I'll go 8200 for 8200 milliseconds. Oops, sorry, 820 milliseconds. 820, only one O. Okay, that's better, not perfect still, and now I'll take the plus button to move it on further until I get right at the beginning. And it's getting closer and closer and closer, and looks pretty darn close. Okay, so we notice that it's difficult to see exactly where our cursor is. And we want to make sure it's right at the beginning of our waveform. So the way we change that is we go over to this area again, this mode area, and there's some secondary features of the mode area depending on where you are in the program. Look, it says program, it also says mute 1 and zoom plus. Down below setup, mute 2, zoom minus. Well, that's something we want here. If we hit the zoom minus, it'll zoom out. If we hit the zoom plus, it'll zoom in. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. I hit the zoom minus. Look at that. I'm able to see closer to the waveform. Now I can see that there's actually some space still between the waveform and the cursor. Now I can't even see it anymore. Hit the zoom plus to get back. Okay, so I've zoomed in using the zoom minus, and now I'm pretty much as close as I can get. Well, there we go. Maybe that's perfect. Let's see. Starts out fine. I hit the octave below now. It starts instantly now. Hit the one even below that. Instantly. So I've got a good start point. My start point now is 0.945 or 945 milliseconds in. Because I had so much space in the beginning, I really needed to trim off the front. So that trim helped me. In addition, to get a precise trim, I used the zoom minus tool to get further into the waveform so I could see exactly what I'm doing much more accurately. Zoom plus will take us back out.